So hey guys, now I'm joined by Kenny of Kenny TV. So Kenny, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi everyone. So I am Kenneth Lobo. So I am currently a second year student from Far Eastern University Institute of Medicine, FEU-NRMF. So my undergrad is BS Physical Therapy.
So to kick things off, Kenny, why did you decide to pursue your medical education at FEU?
Okay, so the main factor that made me decide to choose FEU is its proximity with my house kasi I live lang near FEU kasi I live in Fairview. Kasi from before, pre-med ko kasi is from UST. So that time, naka-dorm ako. So I decided na not to do that anymore kasi ayoko na mag-dorm. Another gastos din yon. And also, yung school naman na FEU still provides the quality education na hinahanap ko naman for a med school. And of course, yung board passing rate naman is also relatively high. And of course, yung set ng professors provides excellent and quality education pa rin. So, yun lang naman yung mga factors.
Did you apply to, were you considering other med schools pa when you were applying to medical school?
Yeah, yung top 3 ko na nilagay sa NMAT application ko before is yun nga, FEU, then UST. UST because since yun yung undergrad ko and of course, yun na yun yung high school ko kasi, UST. So, kaya consider ko na rin talaga yung UST. And then yung last naman is UERM kasi from my other friends, nalaman ko rin sa kanila na okay din yung education sa UERM. Kaya isa rin yung sa mga consider ko.
How would you describe the experience of studying in FEU?
FEU, to be honest, it's going to be hard talaga kasi I know some of you guys know naman na yung mahirap nga sa FEU pero yun naman most of the med schools naman talaga mahirap talaga yung pagdadaanan niyo. But since you really want to be a doctor, nothing can stop you naman for achieving your goals. Kaya sabi ko kahit mahirap tong pagdadaanan ko, at least I know na kakayanin ko to kasi gusto ko talaga maging doktor. So yun, mahirap mag-aral sa FEU, pero if talagang gusto mo, kakayanin mo naman.
What's the curriculum like there? Because like there are different philosophies in terms of how to teach medicine in the different med schools here in the Philippines. Like there's the module-based system at my school. I think like some schools are problem-based, like in CIM and CDU. And then there's the traditional. So where along that spectrum does FEU fall in?
Usually yung FEU naman, it falls sa traditional. For the subjects naman, we have rotational subjects. So I will explain lang kung ano yung rotational subjects. So there are some subjects na tinitake namin, and then may ibang subjects naman tinitake ng half of the batch. So after the first semester, we're going to switch those subjects. So yun yung for the subjects naman. Tapos yung way ng pagtuturo nila is usually they want you to read the book pa rin kahit sabihin nila na okay, this would really cover the exam, yung lecture ko, but they will still provide sources. And then, aasa kami doon na talagang may lalabas na from books. So, di lang kami pwedeng umasa sa trans. So, kailangan talaga magbasa pa rin kami ng book. So, sa quizzes naman, we have long exams aside pa sa prelims, midterms, and finals. So, tinitake namin yon during the lunch time. So, technically, we really need to eat lunch prior or kami nang bahala mag-discarte kung paano kami kakain kasi the exam would take the lunch time na. So, ayun, yun yung ano namin sa FEU.
So like my understanding with the traditional system is that sometimes like the pacing for one subject won't be the same for others. So like one of what my friend said in USD that sometimes they could be studying renal na pero their another subject could be still stuck in the previous organ system. Let's say it's a head and neck. So has that ever happened in your time in FEU?
Yeah, it happens naman minsan. Lalo na kapag talagang may mga ibang sections na mauuna sa'yo, na mauunang maturo sa inyo yung subject, yung mga lessons na yon. But they make sure naman na kahit papano by second semester or by the end of the first semester, magiging equal na for the entire batch. Kasi medyo marami kami sa batch. So, talagang nangyayari yung mga ganong scenario.
And like how often are your major exams in FEU?
Oh, yeah. So, yung mga major exams namin, Yung prelims, midterms, and finals, usually naman fixed na yon. But for the long exams, which is like 20% of the grading for subjects, so usually yon, they would like to finish 2 to 3 topics first before they proceed with the long exams. Kasi they need to cover pa rin yung mga topics na yun para technically nabasa na namin siya and hopefully ma-apply na namin siya sa major exam. So parang review na rin siya kahit paano.
So I guess like if what from what I'm assuming is like you have like module exams like at like probably like once a month or something like that.
Yeah, parang ganon.
Going for like clinical experience, because like one big difference I see in a lot of med schools is that there's a difference in philosophy in when they start teaching the clinical skills. Like for my school, we learn it as early as first year, so like we're already taught now how to do history PE as long as some of the basic physical examination skills for OSCE. So like with you guys, when were you how early did you start having patient encounters?
Regarding patient encounters, usually nangyayari yun sa amin ngayong second year. But due to the pandemic, wala kami nakikita mga patients. So, pseudo patients na yung nangyayari. So, we're going to elicit history from those patients para kahit paano ma-feel pa rin namin na nagtitake kami ng history. But same with you guys pa rin naman. During the first year, nag-ano na rin kami ng mga how to take history for the OSCE and then your evaluation and that. Tapos after nun, for the second year, i-apply namin yung mga evaluation na yun but with the pathologies na. So, yung mga abnormal findings na. So, ayun, kahit papano na ano namin siya ng first year but sa second year, doon lang dapat namin may experience yung with the patient na.
So, like you kind of alluded to it earlier, but how would you describe the teaching philosophy of FEU? Are they more like lecture based, or do they give some leeway for you guys to like learn on your own?
Ayun. So, yung major bulk ng lecture ng ano namin is lectures talaga. But they usually provide us 1 day na mag-independent study period. But yun, parang mostly pa rin ng talagang goal nila is ma-lecture pa rin nila kasi ang iniisip kasi nila baka since we're studying on our own, baka hindi namin alam yung mga important things lang to remember kasi sabihin nila, okay, this part of the book is not that important. You don't need to know this kasi sa future, hindi naman talaga siya mako-cover, especially here in the Philippine setting. So parang ganun siya. Kaya talagang gusto nila, sila mismo yung nagle-lecture para guided kami kung ano yung mga dapat lang namin malaman.
Okay, so besides like the lectures that your profs give you, does the school provide any opportunity for you to like develop your skills on your own initiative, such as like assisting professors in doing research or taking clinical electives abroad during clerkship?
Regarding clerkship, hindi ko pa siya ma-answer kasi I'm not that familiar. Pero yung mga assisting professors with regards to research, ngayong second year, nangyayari na siya kasi we have research 1 pa rin naman yung first year, but that is more of teaching us kung ano yung mga basic terms in research. But ngayong second year, we're going to apply na. So currently, we are doing thesis proposals and then co-author namin yung mga doctors. So parang per group, there would be a thesis advisor assigned para sila yung magiging advisor namin for the entire year. So at least kahit paano, we're doing research na as early as second year. And also, thankful kami sa FEU kasi they provided us online access sa library. So all of the journals na merong access sa FEU, na-access namin kahit nasa bahay kami.
That's pretty cool that your professors come in as a co-author for the paper, because that's like the first time I've heard where they're actively contributing rather than just being an advisor.
Yes, they're willing naman to be co-authors kasi it's not that it is required for them to be co-authors, pero sila kasi mismo willing sila to be a part of the study.
Okay, so having like obviously now with like the shift to online classes, what are some of the challenges you've faced in adapting to online learning, and what have you done to try to at least face those challenges?
Uh, Online learning kasi is a big adjustment for all of us talaga, especially to us medical students kasi we're the kind of students na we really need to apply it. It's not more of lectures lang talaga. It's not more theoretical. We need to have practicals pa rin. So it's a big deal for us kasi minsan there are parts na hindi nila ma-lecture maayos. So aasa tayo sa mga videos sa YouTube. So mahirap din kasi yung ganon. Like we're learning but we're not applying it. So, yun, isa yun sa mga factors ko. And at the same time, for me kasi, pagka nakaka-experience ako ng mga, for example, mga failures or whatsoever, which is very normal naman sa med school kasi siyempre sa college, baka di mo na-experience yun. But for med school, it's like going to be kind of normal for some students. So, ayun, there are times na I feel empty inside, pero kahit pa paano naman, there are times naman na I try myself to recover pa rin naman. So, I find myself to relax and unwind pa rin.
Mm. I have to agree with what you said about like having a hard time developing our skills, because when we shifted in second year and like we had to still demonstrate our clinical physical like our physical exam skills to our profs, and we had to do that through recording a video of ourselves doing it. And like one hard thing that I found about it's like even though I was practicing, I had no immediate feedback from someone who already actually knew how to do it. So it's like it's hard to like correct yourself because you have to, you just have to assume that you know what you're doing it right, even though like you watch the video and then like you're following what they said naman, diba? So I think that's like one thing I missed out about online class, like having that immediate feedback in terms of like developing clinical skills. And I think, and then like also with like the shift to like lectures, even though that you can now learn at your own pace, there's still a lot to learn. And even, and you still have, and with being stuck at home, diba, you still have responsibilities to accomplish around the house. It's like, especially if you're living with your family. And like, like you just can't be a student all the time. Eh. You're still someone's son, you're still someone's daughter, and you still have like, duties to fulfill outside of your student life. So I guess like that's like one big shift that we're still all trying to get around even this late into the pandemic. Having studied in med school now for like over a year, do you have any advice to give to the incoming freshmen to your school, and any general advice for medical students?
Ayun. So, as I said a while ago, yes, you're going to expect that it's going to be a hard journey. But since you started naman with a dream, so I think naman yung dream na yun yung magdadala sa'yo hanggang sa dulo ng journey mo. And of course, you still need support from your parents, your friends, and of course, hindi mo kasi pwedeng you're going to do it on your own. Like for example, you have problems and you're not going to share it with others. Hindi mo siya pwedeng damdamin on your own. You need to kahit pa paano find support from others kasi it would really be a factor for you to survive the journey. So ayun, you need to prepare yourself holistically, mentally, physically, emotionally kasi kailangan mo talaga maging ready sa med school. Kasi for example, sa college, kahit kung for you college is chill, then I think you need to change that mindset kasi ma-overwhelm ka talaga sa med school. So baka sa simula pa lang di mo na siya kayanin. So at least kahit papaano, you need to change that kind of mindset. So and also, pagka feeling mo you're going to quit na, always remind yourself why you started this journey. So yun lang yung pinuulit-ulit sa sarili ko. Pagka nawawala na ako sa track, so I will always remind myself na I really wanted to do this, bata pa lang ako. So something like that. You need to consider those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think that message holds true for like as out of all the out of all the med students that I've interviewed so far. It's like all of them usually give one different version of always remember your why. Because I think that like the saying like where there's like as long as you have your why, the how will figure itself out. And I think especially that holds true for med school because med school will find a way to break you down no matter what. It's like the hours of those hours of studying will really just wear you out, no matter how smart you are. Like, even smart people still need to study really hard in med school because of the amount of knowledge we have to take. And I think like what helps us get through that is like, having a support system. And like I think like for those of us who are lucky enough to have be with our family, like our families creates that safety net. And if that's not enough, we still have our friends, because like even though we're all in online learning, we still have the ability naman diba, to contact each other over the internet, through either through Facebook or through having group Zoom calls. And I think like we can find ways to like create that social support, especially in these times where we all, like most of us will tend to feel isolated in our own homes. So like moving on, so like how what's life outside the classroom in FEU like? So what's like the student culture? What's like the student body in FEU like as a med school?
Okay, so I will tell you the community in FEU is relatively large talaga kasi in first year talagang marami talaga kami. So depende na lang talaga kapag syempre hindi maiiwasan, there are times na mababawasan yung batch, but uh, yung time na first years pa lang kami, sa first semester pa lang, even though we are a large group, we are for example 100 plus in the section, uh, close pa rin kami. So we get the chance to kahit papaano be group for different subjects. Pero yung group namin kahit papaano, naiiba-iba pa rin siya. Pero may certain group kami, certain subgroup kami na fixed na yun for the entire year. So yung mga subgroup ko na yun, ka-close ko talaga yun. But the good thing is, nagiging close ko na rin yung buong section. Mahirap lang talaga maging ka-close yung iba pang mga sections kasi sobrang dami talaga namin. I think we're 700 in a batch, so parang
Mm.
sobrang hirap din talaga siyang ma-achieve. Pero at least kahit pa paano yung section ko is ka-close ko silang lahat. So, ayun, maganda yung ganun kasi. Lalo na yung mga pag-share ng trans, hindi kasi masungit yung mga classmates ko nung first year. So, if they kapag gumawa sila ng trans, they make sure na makukuha ng buong section. So, ayun.
So like you said that your batch is big. So do you like, given that you have a hard enough time interacting with your own batch mates, how is it like trying to interact with your upperclassmen? Do you ever get the opportunity to like develop relationships with them as within the school?
Yeah, may mga times na nakakapag-ano kami with the upperclassmen, especially during medicine week kasi the student council really organized events na talagang magkakaroon ka ng chances to ask the upperclassmen kung kamusta ba yung subjects ngayon dyan. And of course, kapag they invite you to join their organizations, talagang sasabihin nila na, oh, you can join this group and then we can tell you more na advice, ganon. So parang kahit paano they're giving part na rin na kahit paano you need to join orgs pa rin. Hindi siya puro ACADS lang yung buhay mo sa FE. So, parang ganun. So, kaya thankful talaga kami sa student council kasi they really make sure na hindi lang kami puro ACADS lang.
Mm. So speaking of orgs, what are like the different extra orgs that you can join as a student of FEU?
Okay, so if a student wants to serve the entire student body, nandiyan naman yung student council. You do not need to run naman for a position. You can apply for like to be a part of a committee of a certain, like for example, a committee of a PRO, committee of the president. So ganon, you don't need to run naman. Pero if you really want to serve the entire student body, you can go for student council. And then for sports naman, there are different teams for different sports like basketball, volleyball, badminton na nagko-compete sa palarong medisina. So if you're an athlete and also you want to do sports pa rin kahit nasa medicine, so you can join the teams pa rin naman. And also, there are different organizations na maraming mga advocacies regarding health issues. So we have AMSA and LAMP. Yung AMSA is Asian Medical Students Association. And then yung LAMP is Loyal Alliance Medical Professionals. So may mga ganon. And of course, yung may iba rin naman na nagpo-provide Bible verses and inspirational quotes and inspirational messages to students. So, ayan, may Look MD naman. So, maraming mga pwede pang ma-explore sa FEU. May dance group, may singing group. So, ayun. So, if you do not want to focus more on ACADS, kahit ng pure na ACADS, marami namang ino-offer FEU for you.
Yeah, I'd have to agree that like having extracurriculars in med school is really important because like we need to have an outlet outside of the classroom because we go insane if we just keep studying all the time. And
Yes.
like I think that especially once it's palarong medicina and like med rhythmia, med groove, it shows talaga that med students are just like more than just nerds that who study all the time. Because I think once you see how passionate we are about like our crafts, especially with like sports and the performing arts, it shows that like we can develop ourselves beyond just like learning for our careers. And I think that's important for future patients because that makes us more relatable.
Yes, true.
So after being a student in your school for more than a year now, it's like what's one thing that you really like about your school?
So, ayun, i-reiterate ko lang yung sa ano nga namin, yung sa support system ng mismong school namin when it comes to yung sa, for example nga yung sa trans system, gumawa pa talaga ng G-Drive yung mismong student council together with the different sections para kahit papaano organize yung trans. Like, hindi siya mag-iiba-iba ng gawa. Like, there's a certain format that you need to follow and kahit papaano para yung information na nasa isang trans, whether, for example, you do not like the design of the trans, kahit paano, sa isang trans na gusto mo yung design, that should have the same content. So, parang may nagre-regulate ng trans system na yon. So, yun yung gusto ko kasi walang sungitan ng material kasi you cannot survive sa medicine alone eh. Kahit paano, at least you need to have, you need to help one another. Sabi nga nila, no student left behind.
Yeah, I'd have to agree that having a trans system is really good because like I like the trans system in my school, and although that no trans system is perfect, I think the system is important to helping like a lot of students who aren't necessarily good at like taking their own notes, and I think it makes a huge difference in like in terms of like the overall performance of the batch, especially when it comes to moving on to the next year. So as a follow-up question, is like, what's one thing about your school that you wish that they like would add to you to the school within your remaining stay as a student?
So for me, ito namang isasuggest ko sa kanila is ginagawa naman nila now, but not that often. Kasi the student council provides like supplemental lectures. Kasi for example, there are times lang na there will be lectures, like for example, gross anatomy, na may mga students na nahihirapan sa gross anatomy. So they make sure na may mga supplemental lectures, like they will reserve a certain date, like for example, a weekend, and then you can attend the class kung gusto mong matuto pa ng anatomy, like for example, hindi mo talaga siya magets and you need the help from the doctors. So ayun, at kahit paano they organize that kind of events kasi malaking factor talaga siya for a student kasi may mga student na like me na slow learner, so I really need supplemental lectures kasi ayoko lang umasa na lang sa isang lecture lang. I want to repeat that lecture para talagang magstay siya sa utak ko.
Before we end this interview, Kenny, is there like anything you'd like to promote? Business, social media, your personal YouTube channel?
So, ayun, I want to promote, of course, my YouTube channel. So, you can search my YouTube channel, Kenny TV, and then the TV is capital T and V. And then you can also look for my TikTok if you want TikTok. I have TikTok also. And then Instagram, Kenny Lobo with like 4O, I think. I don't even memorize my IG, pero that's my IG. You can search it up. And then Facebook, Kenneth Lobo. So, yeah.
Okay, so if any of you guys are interested in checking out Kenny's social media, I'll leave links down in the description. So feel free to check those out. So I'd like to thank you so much, Kenny, for taking the time. We're both very busy with the school year having started. So thank you for taking the time to be part of this interview.
Thank you also, Luis.